Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. This week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to David's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Jerry. So, Sean, what is Jerry to you?
This is Jerry, and he was the policeman who came to investigate when I was heard screaming during a Christmas game of Twister.
Right, Sean's concerned copper. James, how do you know Jerry?
This is Jerry. He's the fireman who every Boxing Day soaks me with water during a festive game of squirt.
Right, James's fireman friend. And finally, Lee, what's your relationship with Jerry?
This is Jerry. He's the paramedic who ticked me off last Christmas after I landed my drone in his ambulance.
David's team, where to begin?
Sean, you were playing Twister.
Yep.
What was the occasion?
It was in between Christmas and New Year, and me and my family had gone away and rented a cottage.
And why did you scream?
Because I think I had my left hand on red and right foot on green.
Tricky.
Tricky. And we'd all had a few drinks, and...
What was the time? What time of day?
Oh, it was evening.
Right.
It was evening. I'd say about 10:30ish.
OK.
And my uncle fell on my face and I screamed. And you would scream, wouldn't you? You would scream.
Was he a friendly uncle?
Very friendly.
If you've been affected by any of the issues raised in tonight's show, there is a website you can visit.
It wasn't a horrific scream. It was fun. I was having fun. I was just a bit hysterical.
Could you reproduce it, Sean? Could an actress of your stature
OK.
reproduce it for us now? Imagine Lee is this
Can
uncle who's a
someone fall
little
on my
too
face?
friendly. You're never that happy when he turns up, no matter how many presents you think, oh, it's Uncle Lee. Oh.
I like the way that you said she's a good actress, so she could play the part of the screamer, but I could just play the untoward uncle naturally.
So, there you are. Why don't you demonstrate the Twister? James, what are you doing?
Playing the Twister mat.
It wasn't a scary scream. It was like a... because I was having fun scream.
How did the neighbour next door hear it if it was just a little scream?
Did the uncle let out anything as well? Did
I
he...
certainly did not.
So what happens then? So suddenly there's a knock on the door.
Yeah.
And what happens when Jerry arrives?
Well, we're all just having fun at this point. We've all had a few drinks. We all invite Jerry in, see if Jerry wants a sherry. He was really lovely about it.
All right.
So is there a police station in this village? And they're all on duty at Christmas week, are
Well,
they?
there's always got to be a policeman on duty somewhere.
To look out for madmen like you pushing donkeys down lanes. Now, what about James?
OK, James.
Just remind us, James, what it was that you said.
Jerry is the fireman who every Boxing Day soaks me with water during a festive game of squirt.
Oh.
OK. What's going on?
Squirt is a game.
Is it?
Yeah. 2 teams of firemen.
OK, so that's... For a game of squirt, the first thing you need is 2 teams of fire.
And they go either side of a river.
Yeah.
And you get a rope and you tie it up in a tree at one side of the river, and then you run it along and you tie it to a tree at the other side of the river.
Yeah.
But before you've tied it to the other side, you thread a barrel across it.
Of course you do.
Just thread a barrel.
Yeah. What if there's a fire in the local area during the lengthy setup for a game of squirt?
Well, he's not... They can't put out fires anyway. He's only volunteer.
Sorry?
They're just a volunteer fire brigade. They're not allowed to put out fires.
What are they allowed to do? Just look at them?
They are permitted to pick up litter.
the fire engines and everything from there?
Their fire engine's an old one. It's more like a ice cream van that's painted red.
The volunteers, do they have the uniforms?
No. The Kettering Volunteer Fire Brigade have a T-shirt and it has an emblem on it of a fire being put out by a beer.
Talk us through the rules of squirt.
OK. You get the barrel to the middle of the rope, right in the middle of the rope, and then both teams aim their hoses at it.
Are the volunteer firemen allowed real water, or do they just mime it?
No, they're allowed water, they just can't aim it at a fire.
OK.
If there was a fire, they would have to turn the hose off.
Right.
So what happens next?
Someone's like, go! And then they both turn their hoses on and they aim it at the barrel. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the barrel, trying to squirt it along the rope so it gets to the opposition side of the bank. And all the water is hitting this barrel, and we're standing on the bridge. Getting soaked.
Yeah.
And then you walk home going, good squirt this year.
Right, now then, what about Lee?
How did you come to land the drone in Jerry's ambulance?
We have this really weird tradition in our house where we like to keep dry. And so I thought, what I'll do is I'll fly my drone, but I'll stay in the house. And the window was open, and I thought...
The window was open because it was a very hot Boxing Day.
The window was open. The window was open because my wife always has the heat on very high over Christmas, and I'm not a fan of radiators, so I opened the window. Yeah. And I was practising in the bedroom, and I thought, I'm so in control of this, rather than go downstairs and fly it, I'm just going to go straight out the window.
Was the drone a Christmas present?
The drone was a Christmas present, correct.
Who gave you a drone for Christmas?
Not you, because you got me nothing.
Yeah.
It was my wife.
Your wife got you... It's a very romantic present. A drone.
She's heard me say it to her a lot during the year. Drone, drone, drone.
Why was there an ambulance there? Had your wife called it as a precautionary measure?
The ambulance was actually the house over the road, and as I was flying the drone, I looked over, and a man was carried out on a stretcher. And I think, can't quite see what's going on, but I thought I'll have a little look at that. And my drone has a camera attached to it, so I fly my drone over. That's getting closer and closer. You know, I'm getting quite a good...
It can help, I think, when someone's just had a heart attack or something. Something shocking or strange can really helps them really get it together.
I thought so. Yeah. And so I was watching it and I thought, this is interesting. And then he gets put in the back of the ambulance and the doors stay open and Jerry goes in the back. I thought, no, I'll have a little look, see what's going on. So I get a bit closer. And now I'm hovering just outside the back doors.
Yeah.
And I pushed forward a little bit too much and the drone went straight into the back of the ambulance, striking Jerry on the back.
This presumably hurt Jerry because the rotors of a drone are very fast.
Yeah, oh, yeah, he was a good 3 or 4 inches taller than this last year.
So Jerry spots you leaning out of your bedroom window with a remote control. What does he then do?
Oi! I said, give me my drone back! I can't really repeat what he said on television
swore.
because... No, he's French and I don't understand French.
We need an answer. So, David's team. Is Jerry Sean's concerned copper, James's fireman friend, or Lee's peeved paramedic?
Oh, I don't. I mean...
I think it's James's.
You think it's James's?
Yeah.
I think it's Sean.
I mean, I think we're agreed Lee is lying.
Yeah.
The question is it James or Sean?
I think it's a mate of James's from the pub who was a volunteer fireman.
I'm not happy about this. Because my instinct is that James is telling the truth.
Right.
But I know what that's saying publicly. I know what I am then believing. I'm believing a game that is played across a river between volunteer firemen with a souped-up ice cream van and squirting a barrel in which the locals come and stand and watch in just the place where they get splattered with water.
What's it going to be?
I think it's James.
You're going to go with James?
Yeah, go on,
Jerry,
I'm saying it's James.
would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Jerry, and I'm a volunteer fireman who soaks drains in Boston Bay.
Hello, Jerry.
Yes, Jerry is James's fireman friend. Thank you very much, Jerry. So please welcome this week's special guest, Jake. So, Oti, what is Jake to you?
This is Jake, and on the German version of Strictly, I knocked his tooth out with a high kick.
So, Oti's damaged dancer. James, how do you know Jake?
This is Jake. When he split up with his girlfriend, everyone blamed me instead of him.
Right, James's breakup buddy. And finally, Lee, what is your relationship with Jake?
This is Jake. I once knocked him into a grave with a frisbee.
So there we have it. Oti's damaged dancer, James's breakup buddy, or Lee's frisbeed friend. David's team, where to begin?
OK, so why were you on German Strictly?
Oh, so I live in Germany, and that's where the UK version found me.
And Jake was your...
He was the celebrity.
What does he do?
He's a weatherman.
He's a weatherman.
Wetterman.
What is he?
Wetterman.
He's a German weatherman.
But he's very talented because he's a weatherman. I mean, this is difficult to do.
Well,
and
is
he can dance. I have a lot of admiration for the weatherman and weatherwomen.
Yeah, but that's because all you're doing is showing people to tables. It probably looks really skillful.
How good a dancer was he? Because on Strictly, you often have people that aren't very good.
We made it up to week 9.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, in German, that's 0, so it means week 0.
No.
Nine means
It's
no.
close enough, Rob. It's close enough as a joke.
9 does not mean 0.
It means week no, OK?
No,
Just
it
let
doesn't.
it go.
No, because the joke doesn't work.
Well, I think you'll find that all us lot disagree.
So what happened? You said you hit him?
Yeah, so this was during a live show, right? And the worst part is that was the end of the number. So you have to go there and stand by the judges.
No, the worst part is he knocked his tooth out. Typical dancer mentality, and the worst thing is we got judged terribly.
But did you get through to the next week?
Yeah, it's Germany. They vote.
Germany have got a terrible history for voting for the wrong person, don't they? Why is that an ooh? Surely you would agree with that.
Yeah.
Why is that contentious?
No,
Is that a room splitter?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we liked Adolf Hitler.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just contemplating the rise of fascism.
What about James?
James, what's the scenario?
This is Jake, and when he split up with his girlfriend, everyone blamed me instead of him.
Why?
Because I had to deliver the news.
What do you mean?
We wrote a letter together. We were like 15, and it was Jake's first girlfriend, and he hadn't got experience of how to break up with people. And to be fair, not even less. And we decided, he's like, I've got to break up with her, and I don't know how to do it.
Why has he got to break up with her?
They weren't really clicking, they didn't have much chemistry.
Right.
Did you write it together?
Yeah, we wrote it together in a field.
Do you remember that letter at all?
It was, I remember it started off with, Dear Yvonne, this is the hardest letter I've ever had to write.
Why were you in a field?
We liked to go for a lot of walks, me and Jack.
I can see what's happening in here. Am I the only one that knows what's happening here?
Why didn't he write it on his own? Why you?
Because I think he was worried he would say the wrong thing, and so we tried to, like...
So he wanted to make sure?
Yeah, it's like, maybe we can work on it together, and we sat down in the field and we wrote this letter.
And can you remember more of the text?
I think I know that it didn't really drop the bombshell until a little bit in, because I remember when I gave it to her, to begin with, she was very excited to receive a letter from Jake. And then she was going through.
Did you stand there while she was reading the letter?
Yeah.
You stood there?
Well, I just stood there. So she was in my form.
Yeah.
So I had to go over to her table and go, oh, this is from Jake. And she was like, oh, Jake's given me a letter. And then all the girls on the table were like, yes!
Why did you give it to in front of other people?
I was 15 years old. You're a grown man.
Did she look at you, like, did she blame it on you straight away?
Yeah, as soon as they all got to that bit, they all looked at me and were like, and were really furious with me and really angry.
Right.
Yeah.
I see.
And Jake was, I mean, Jake's a wild boy. They kind of expected it from him.
When you say wild, what exactly do you mean?
He went through a phase when he used to jump in the school long jump pit naked. He played Mr. Hyde in a play and licked a girl's face. I was in a band with him.
Really?
Yeah, he was a keyboard player, but he couldn't play keyboard, so we turned it all the way down. Then we chucked him out the band and he smashed his keyboard up in the woods.
He really is a wild man. All right. Now, what about Lee?
So, Lee, what's this grave frisbee
Just
situation?
remind us, Lee.
This is Jake, and I once knocked him into a grave with a frisbee.
So, how did that happen?
Well, there was a frisbee, and it hit him, and he fell in the grave. I mean, what more do you need to know, David?
Were you in a cemetery?
I was just on the edge of a cemetery. I was on the other side of a wall of a cemetery.
Mm-hmm. And so, what were you playing with? A friend? Kids?
I find frisbee on my own quite hard. I know what you're thinking of. You're thinking of this is Jake, and I once hit him with a boomerang, and he fell into a grave.
So, who were you playing frisbee with?
With my son.
And how high was the wall of this cemetery?
It was about... it's quite low. It's about 3 foot, 4 foot. It's a very, very low wall.
In French?
No, it was in the countryside in England.
No, because 3 foot, 4 foot is what in French? I don't know.
It is 4 foot. No, sorry, it's 4 foot.
What was he doing in the cemetery?
What was he doing?
Yeah.
He was actually the grave digger. Look at his face. Of course, I'm telling the truth. I say grave digger, I mean body snatcher.
Right. Why were you there? Were you on holiday?
I just was having a day out to some church my wife wanted to see. So my wife and my son and me, we went off. We went off to a field, had a look at a church. My wife loves the church. She had a look at the church. Me and my son are not interested in church. Are you all right there? And I said, well, me and you, we always take a frisbee because everywhere she goes and looks at, we're often on Oxford Street when she's shopping.
So how did she find out about that particular church?
She went on Google when she was looking about slugs.
So how did he fall in the grave?
Because he was looking at his hole. The hole he just dug, and he obviously just finished. He was very proud. It's a 6-foot hole. It takes a long time to dig a 6-foot hole. Trust me, I know. I've buried a few. And he's looking down, thinking, I finally finished. And but as luck would have it, my son missed it, went over his head, hit him on the back of the knee, and he's gone straight in.
OK.
How did you know he fell into the grave?
How do I know he fell in the grave? Because there was a fella stood there and then he wasn't.
All right, we need an answer. So, David's team. Is Jake Otie's damaged dancer, James's break-up buddy, or Lee's frisbeed friend?
I don't buy the dancing, but I think James's story is very plausible, and they look alike anyway.
That's not a rule.
They're not claiming to be brothers, they're claiming to be friends.
Well, you have to have a reason. That's my reason. There you go.
What are you thinking, Danny?
James. I really believe this story.
Yeah. David?
Yeah, I think probably James.
Oh, OK. There's no doubt within your team, David.
There's no doubt.
We think we know, and which is absurd, because, of course, we don't. But,
Jake, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Jake, and James helped me break up with my girlfriend.
Yes, Jake is James's break-up buddy. Thank you very much, Jake. So please welcome this week's special guest, Mick. So, Gabby, what is Mick to you?
This is Mick, and I deliberately tripped him up during the wheelbarrow race at my son's sports day.
OK, James, how do you know Mick?
This is Mick, and for 6 months, he was my sworn enemy when a practical joke got out of hand.
And finally, Lee.
This is Mick. He's my son, and I'm only allowed to see him every second Friday. Sorry, no, that's not it. This is Mick. I once took him home from nursery instead of my own son.
So there we have it. Is Mick Gabby's cheated child, James's feuding friend, or Lee's traded toddler? David's team, where would you like to begin?
Well, Gabby, the wheelbarrow race, you were also a competitor. What was the format of the race, and how did the accident
Your
happen?
classic sports day wheelbarrow race. Child is the wheelbarrow. I was driving my son as a wheelbarrow, and Mick's mum, Barbara, was driving him. And there's always a lot... I feel our family gets a lot of pressure on sports day because my husband was an international rugby player and I did sport. And people always look at us as if they're the ones to beat. You know, I always feel that added dimension of competitiveness.
You were a rhythm gymnastic, weren't you?
I was a gymnast.
Yeah, I think they're looking more at him. Carry on.
So we were in the lead, my son and I. And you know, like in your peripheral vision, you can feel somebody coming. And as we got to the turn, they were level with us, and my son's arm buckled, and which is for a wheelbarrow race is a bit of a no-no. So it takes you a couple of seconds to recover. So now we're behind.
Quite painful for your son as well. Perhaps that should be the main concern.
Classic sports person. Oh,
That's a no-no. We need this.
We got back level with them, and I'm ashamed, obviously, about what happened next. So I can feel, you know, these horrible thoughts coming into my mind. You know, we could take him out. You know, we could.
Wow! Come on, this is why we've been taking all the drugs.
And I stood on his hand, and so I know.
Deliberately.
You were thinking we should take him out.
So he then slightly buckled. So
Which is a no-no.
He got himself back into the race, and I decided that I couldn't let us win because that could be construed in some people's eyes as cheating, standing on the opposition's hands.
And in some people's eyes, physical assault.
So I had to then sabotage us because I couldn't let us win. So I deliberately kind of pushed my son into the ground.
So you assaulted 2 children.
I kind of just, you know, pretended to trip onto Reuben. So,
Right.
and then his arms buckled, double buckle, which is a no.
No.
And that meant...
Reuben is your boy.
Yes, oh gosh, yes.
You know, the one with the face like that.
All right, who would you like to speak to next?
OK, James. So Mick became your sworn enemy because of a practical joke.
That got out of hand.
That got out of hand.
Yes.
So what was the practical joke or prank?
First of all, I'll say for the record, before we carry on, I hate this boy. I'm nothing but content for him, and I'm furious he's got on this show.
I just think I feel I can only see him every second Friday.
So what was the practical joke, James?
He put cabbage leaves in my bed.
How did he get in your room?
I was staying at his house.
On a sleepover? How old are you?
A few years ago.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't have been born.
He was 9.
And you were, what, 31?
I was, what, 28? 29?
And how do you know him?
I know his dad. He's his son.
And you were staying at their house?
Yes.
Why did he put cabbage leaves? Why is that a thing?
Well, it's not a thing until he started doing it.
Yeah.
There's something severely wrong with him. I don't know why he started.
But you say
following this kind of
started
stunt.
doing it. Was
Yeah.
He, what do you mean? This is a one occasion when you're
is
staying
it?
there. Well, I don't know.
This is the first of many, David. I said got out of hand. I do not use those words lightly.
So you regularly stay at the house of...
Oh, no. Oh. This little man does not restrict these pranks to his own house. He has no respect for anyone's privacy and will cross any boundaries available to him. I hate him with all my heart.
Yeah. So he initially put cabbage leaves in the bed you were sleeping in when you were staying at his father's house.
Yes.
Right? And then subsequently...
Yes.
He has followed you and put cabbage leaves in other places you've been sleeping.
No.
OK? What then?
He sent me a cabbage in the post. He sent me half a cabbage, cling filmed, in a box. I was out when they delivered it. I had to go to the post office to pick it up. There was a note inside that said, "You got cabbaged again."
So, OK, so he's doing that. Did you, bearing in mind that this is a minor, did you at any...
It was a major, as far as I'm concerned.
Did you at any point retaliate?
Yeah, but it took me 6 months.
What did you do?
After 6 months of this...
Well, but you say 6 months of this.
Yeah.
What is this? There's the initial cabbage leaves in the bed at his house.
Yeah.
And there's the posted half cabbage.
Yeah.
Anything else?
His granddad cabbaged me to my face.
What does that mean?
Gave me a present. It was all wrapped up nice. I thought it was a nice present. I unwrapped it. It was another half a cabbage wrapped in cling film. Members of the public started cabbaging me. I made the mistake of talking about it on the radio, and then everyone got the idea, and I couldn't turn up to a gig without there being a cabbage hidden somewhere in my dressing room.
Well, thank God you're playing safe and not saying it on telly, eh? Yeah.
So, did you retaliate?
Absolutely did. I removed all of his belongings from his bedroom and replaced them with cabbages.
That's, I would say, a disproportionate response.
6 months of my life, David. 6 months of my life of not knowing where the next cabbage was coming from. It was horrible. I had to go big. I've been cabbaged so many times. Somebody started a Twitter account, was tweeting pictures of cabbages on me every day. They said stuff like "Oi, oi, Savoy." It was horrible.
And that was just the tip of the iceberg.
It's a lettuce, you idiot!
No, but come on, cut me some slack!
No. I would say that anyone who can enjoy that joke about a lettuce would have to be a sociopath.
All right, on to Lee.
Lee, remind us of your story.
This is Mick. I once took him home from nursery instead of my own son.
Why did you not recognise your own son by using your eyes and knowing what he looks like?
I do recognise my own son. But we had this new pram, and the pram... I put him in the pram. He was very young at the time, because, well, you have to go to nursery. And I put him in the pram.
At nursery?
Not a pram, a push
They're
chair.
a pram when they're sort of tiny.
A push chair, you made one mistake. You say lettuce, you say a cabbage, they're on your back. You say pram instead of push chair. I get to see him every other week. I'm stressed. I put him in the push chair, and then I got chatting to all the other mums and dads and stuff. Got chatting, turned round. Little did I realise that one of the other parents had exactly the same push chair, and because he was asleep, I just didn't bother talking to him because I thought he was asleep. Pushed him and got all the way home. Long walk as well, because he goes to school in London and we live in Aberdeen.
How long was it before you realised?
Probably Glasgow. It was about... believe it or not, preferably do.
Yeah, that's very much the question.
Believe it or not, it was as I went into the front door and I pushed him towards my wife, who was coming towards me, and she said, "That is not my son."
But the other mother would have recognised her
Yes.
child, so let's go to the other mother.
Let's go to the other mother.
What happened there?
So, obviously, I'm not there to see the other mother. Because
No, but presumably in the police interview later, you've gone through those details.
No, I knew it would be a bit of a nerve-wracking experience, so I thought I'd better play safe and just keep him. And that's what we did. We just ended up bringing up another child. So I got into the house, pushed him into the house. My wife said, that's not my son. So I went, oh! I realised immediately what had happened, obviously. I turned round and I raced back to the school very quickly. So I got in just in time for them to go, what are you? And then...
So you got back just in time.
Got back in time.
Just before Mick's mother was going to start screaming, my child has disappeared, my child has disappeared.
Yeah, because what had happened is she was getting a bit frantic, but someone had calmed her down by doing the obvious and pointing to the child and saying, use your logic here.
Yeah.
There's a
child abductors don't tend to leave a child as well.
So, David's team. Is Mick Gabby's cheated child?
Maybe.
James's feuding friend?
Maybe.
Or Lee's traded toddler?
No.
I think that the cabbages, that is a good trick, because cabbages, when they get warmed up, stink. I also have, been to many a sports day where the parents do get incredibly competitive. I would probably lean towards Gabby.
What about you, Melvin? Which way are you leaning?
I believe Gabby, but James is just weird, so I believe him even more.
Your paranoid view seems to be the whole country's in on it. Now everyone's sending you cabbages.
Every time people laugh at me, I suspect they're my enemy, which makes my job very difficult.
You think Gabby, but James even more.
And David thinks it's me, so...
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. James.
You're going for James. Mick, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Mick, and I am James's worst enemy.
Mick is James's feuding friend, and here's the proof that is what James did to Mick's bedroom. Thank you very much, Mick. So please welcome this week's special guest, John. So, Ed, what is John to you?
This is John. I once hid behind my shower curtain after mistaking him for a burglar.
Ed's mistaken miscreant. Kate, how do you know John?
This is John. He gave me the best day of my life at the National Funeral Exhibition.
Kate's morbid mate. And Lee, what is your relationship with John?
This is John. He recently named his baby Lee after I helped him deliver it in a local library.
David, where do you want to start?
Ed, where was this shower curtain?
I was renting a new flat, and it was the first night that I was there.
Yeah. And tell us a story.
I was asleep.
Yeah.
And I was woken up by someone coming into the front door, and I wasn't expecting anyone to be coming in.
Yeah.
So my immediate reaction was to panic. I was in a new place, ran to the bathroom, locked the door, got into the bath, shut the shower curtain.
Have you seen the film Psycho?
I haven't.
And Ed, what was he doing in your flat?
So it emerges that he was the previous tenant, and it was his first night in his new place. He was drunk and just went home on autopilot.
Didn't you change the keys when you took over?
You can't just change the keys, you have to change the locks as well, otherwise they don't work.
Well, we got the keys off the landlord.
Yes.
And obviously, John hadn't given his keys back.
So what happens next?
Well, so I was in the bathroom for quite a long time panicking because I thought there's a burglar.
How did the panic manifest? Was it palpitations? What was going on?
Sort of an all-over fizzy feeling.
Right.
Are you living with a girlfriend?
Yeah, but she wasn't. She was away for work. I had to do the move, basically.
So you're cowering behind the shower curtain.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're as fizzy as anything.
Yeah.
Girlfriend's away, you do the move. All right, OK. And he's in.
That's exactly how the conversation went.
Yeah. And he's pickled, coming in, fumbling around.
Yes.
Where's my bed?
And you're behind the shower curtain.
I was fizzing for about an hour, and I could hear them smashing
For an
around,
hour?
like
How just
fumbling
fizzing?
around.
Smashing around or fumbling around?
Yes.
They're different things.
No, well, smashing and fumbling.
Smash, smash,
He
smash.
fumbled. He
Fumble, fumble,
fumbled.
fumble.
He fumbled.
Smash, smash, smash.
He fumbled.
Your
the-
Tommy Cooper impression isn't getting any better, is it?
He fumbled to the extent that it became a smash.
Ed, what is the moment when you decide to open the bathroom door and emerge?
When it's gone completely silent.
And that doesn't strike you as the most threatening moment?
No, because he might have gone. I was hoping he'd gone.
You
Oh.
come out cowering. Open the door.
I peek and can see that he's fallen asleep on the
Oh,
sofa.
my God, right.
You're in pyjamas. You go out.
No,
Do you wake him up?
boxers.
So you're just in boxer shorts?
Yes.
One can feel vulnerable like that.
Yeah.
What do you sleep in, David?
Conventional pyjamas.
Do you sleep in the full
Stylish.
matching top and bottom pyjama?
Actually, at the moment, seeing as you're interested, I have got...
I'm not interested, David, I'm aroused.
Thank you. My most recent system involves more pyjama-ish bottoms, and then actually it's more like a T-shirt on the top, which is
You
incredibly...
are getting so
incredibly
rock and
modern.
roll.
What do you sleep in?
I sleep in my boxer shorts if I'm cold, and if I'm feeling hot, nothing.
Now I'm aroused.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
So you're in a Lee Mack-style nocturnal outfit.
Yeah, but the cold version.
Yeah.
And I gently approached. I did have a small vase in one hand just in case it turned rough.
Had you taken that into the bathroom, or did you pick it up?
On the way.
Right, OK.
Off the little table.
Yeah.
So you'd unpacked the flat in one day, girlfriend away, and
No.
thought the little vase would look lovely here.
Well, I'd not fully unpacked, but I'd unpacked the knick-knack box and the little vase was at the top of it.
Knick-knacks first, necessities later.
Yeah.
We're not animals.
I don't need my clothes, but I tell you what we do need is a tiny little trinket area.
All right, look, you're there in your boxers, you got your knickknacks out. What happens... what happens next?
I gently shook him by the shoulder, gently woke him up, and he was a bit confused, to be honest, but once he realised what he'd done, he was very, very embarrassed.
So what had he been doing for all that fumbling and smashing?
Well, I think he was trying to make himself a snack.
Did you see evidence of what sort of snack it was?
Well, the cupboards were empty.
He'd made himself a lovely knick-knack sandwich.
So, David, who would you like to quiz next?
Kate, so what is the National Funeral Exhibition?
It's like the trade show.
So it's not a permanent thing. It happens once a year, like a sort of conference, like the motor show, that kind of
It's
thing.
like the ideal home exhibition, the ideal death exhibition.
I like to call it the Hearse of the Year show. Anyway, a friend of mine who is also a vicar had been to it before and said, you should go to this. And so John took me along because John is my local funeral director.
And why was it so fantastic?
There was lots of things to try out.
Could you get in a coffin?
You could get in a coffin and you could have the lid put on.
Did you give it a try, Kate?
I did get
What,
in a
you-
coffin and had a little try in
No.
one.
No.
Yep. Well, I'm never going to know what it feels like,
You will
really,
one day.
am I?
You
so...
will one day. I couldn't do that.
No,
Could
you
do
won't
that?
one day, Rob.
Well, I think when we die...
We're alive.
We're still alive.
You're a very spiritual person, aren't you, Rob? Yeah.
Apart from these coffins, what else was on display?
I had to go on a grave digging machine. That was a lot of fun. With
A grave digging machine?
I was going to say, is that just a spade?
So, are you friends?
Yep, he picked me up in his car. We went round the exhibition. He was shopping for some things. He had some things that he needed to buy.
What did he need to buy?
New top hats for all the staff, and he also needed more storage, a bigger fridge.
Sorry, did you just say more storage, a bigger fridge?
Yeah.
Does it have an ice-making machine at the front?
How many times in a week do you guys speak to each other?
Oh, only when we've got work, so it depends what the rate of...
Once again, the subject of the local death rate has come up on the show.
All right. Now then, what about Lee? Just remind us what you said, Lee.
This is John. He named his baby Lee because I recently helped him deliver it in my local library.
OK, so what were
Sorry,
you...
we haven't got time for any more questions.
What were you doing in a library?
How dare you? I'd gone to borrow a book. It's a library.
And John is there with his wife.
Well, yes, he didn't give birth to the baby.
And And she's that pregnant.
Yeah. She was on the floor screaming.
In the library.
I said, "Are you all right?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm really overdue." I said, "Don't panic, the fines aren't that big here."
When was this?
Oh, this was like this morning. No, it wasn't this morning. It was about 3 months ago.
OK, so you're in the library 3 months ago.
Correct.
During the lockdown, when all the libraries are closed.
I might be wrong with my timings, but it was just...
Feb.
It was the first time the library had opened after lockdown, because that's why it was so quiet. I was first in there.
You were first in when the library reopened.
So did I say library? Sorry,
Yes.
I meant Weatherspoons. I was one of the first in, and I was in there with my mask, and he thought I was a nurse, and...
So what's the first sound you hear from his wife?
Shh. It was on my phone at the time.
Yeah.
Shh. Right. And then I walked off, but that was about 10 minutes later when she had a baby.
Who was the one who told her it was time to push?
I wouldn't know when someone has to push.
So who was running this whole thing?
He was running it a bit, the librarian was running it a bit, the other library staff member was out doing it a bit, and I was on hand to help out. I was getting it wrong.
Yes,
I was going, pull!
So, just talk us through it. Take us through it stage by stage.
Waters broke in non-fiction, and then she was now...
Now we're in the realms of fiction.
Well, ironically...
I think we all know that.
Ironically, the most space was in the children's section. She was lying in the children's section. And she goes, I need something. So I picked off the 0 to 2 books. I said, well, they'll come in handy. And then I started helping out.
How did you help out?
How?
Well, first of all, I held her hand.
Really?
Yeah, but I used 2 hands because I felt it was more intimate. You'll appreciate this. I was giving a little prayer at the same time. Help me out here, please, God, I don't know what to do.
Yes.
No. And did a baby appear, or did you get into the ambulance?
Not only a baby, 3 wise men.
He's good, isn't he? So let's not jump ahead now, Lee. Go through it.
I said jump ahead. It was 2,000 years ago.
Let's go on. So, you've got 2 hands praying.
Yeah.
What happened then?
Well, and then she starts having the baby. So
I mean, that doesn't happen in an instant. You got as a little bit of an appearance.
I didn't get involved in the business end, did I? Yeah,
Who did? The librarian?
My manager, he deals with all the business stuff.
All right, we need an answer. So, David's team, is John Ed's mistaken miscreant, Kate's morbid mate, or Lee's proud parent?
So at the beginning, when Ed first told his story, I didn't buy it. But now, looking at him, I'm getting more of the drunk guy and less of the funeral director.
But that's because he's come and he's all in casual situation. Does John have a family, Kate?
Yes.
What do they comprise of?
I'll tell you. A small baby called Lee and a wife.
He's got a younger son who's going to follow in the family footsteps.
Wow, he grew up quick.
So, what's it going to be then? Time to decide.
Well, John, would you just tell us?
No.
Process of elimination, I'm going Ed.
You're going Ed,
Stories.
OK. Claude?
I'm going Kate.
David, what do you get when you look at John?
Kate has behaved like she knows this man.
OK.
I'll go Kate.
John, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm John, and I took Kate to the National Funeral Exhibition.
Yes, John is Kate's morbid mate. Thank you very much, John.
I once had to break into my own flat halfway through a haircut.
David.
Oh, interesting. So, tell us the scenario.
I was having a haircut.
Where were you having a haircut?
On the doorstep of my flat.
Now, that's an unusual location to have a haircut.
You know why? Because he didn't want to clean the hair that was on the floor in the flat, so it's outside, so just to push it.
Yeah, I can understand why you might
have... more work you can do for me, Fred, than what... thank you very much. Yes, that's why.
Why weren't you in a hairdresser's or barber shop?
Do you want to take this one, Fred? Appreciate that. Didn't have much money at the time, and my flatmate was pretty sure that she could cut my hair. She was pretty confident.
But why outside?
Because if you do it inside, you've got to sweep up all the hair. was too messy. We thought if we did it outside, we wouldn't have to do that.
Was there a plug?
Huh?
Was there a plug outside? Was it clippers, scissors?
Oh, it was just scissors. That's all we had.
So it was an acoustic, as it were.
Yeah, it was an acoustic haircut, unplugged session.
What was the haircut?
Well, it was meant to be something close to this, but as it got interrupted halfway through, so it ended up that it was short at the front, short at the back, and kind of like that at the side, like quite long. Like someone took a mullet and went like that.
Yeah.
So she wasn't trained as a hairdresser?
In no way, shape or form.
And you did not mind that she was going to cut your hair?
It was an adventure.
Were you high?
Was I?
High?
No, we were on the bottom of the flat. We were...
I love that.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you very much.
They don't respect this kind of stuff, but I love that.
Now, you said that you were interrupted. What was the interruption?
Oh, well, we realised that we'd locked ourselves out the flat because a cat wanted to get in the front door. Asked each other, you got your keys? Neither of us had brought our keys out.
Was it your cat?
No, it wasn't our cat. It was just a cat wanted to get in the door, and we weren't going to be like, who you visiting?
So this is not the door to your flat. This is a door to the block of flats.
Yeah, we were outside, like outside.
So which floor did you live in?
I think we're on the 3rd floor.
So how did you get up there?
We asked some builders for a ladder. I asked them first, and they said no. And then my friend asked them, and they said yes. And at the time, I was all like, I was a bit stupid. And I was like, they're just letting you because you're a girl. And then she pointed out, you've got half a haircut and no shoes on.
Did you consider, when you noticed you'd been locked out,
yes.
Did you consider finishing the haircut before trying to get back in?
I had to be in central London quite soon for a gig. And my wallet and everything was in the flat. I wouldn't be able to travel there. So I needed to act now. So I couldn't finish the haircut. Luckily, I'm a comic and I'm allowed to look silly.
All right, what are you thinking?
I don't think so. Why would you get somebody to cut your hair with scissors? I mean, if it was clippers and you had a haircut like me, I'd understand, but with scissors...
I mean, it's got to be a liar.
My team think it's a lie. I can see why they think it's a lie.
You're happy to go with
we're
lie?
happy to go with lie.
OK. James, were you telling the truth, or was it a lie?
I was telling the truth.
It's true. James did break into his own flat halfway through a haircut, and we have a picture of the haircut.
Oh, my God.
One Christmas, on hearing I wasn't going to get the present I wanted, I tried to drown myself in protest.
David C.
Tell us the story.
Well, I wasn't going to get the present I wanted.
Which was? What did you want?
The Spice Girls' debut album, Spice.
It's a lie. That's so weird, because I did get it, and I did try and drown myself.
No! Don't applaud that. It's a great album.
How old were you then?
I was like 10 or 11.
Right.
So you wanted the album...
No, he really wanted it.
Stop right now. So you wanted the album?
Yes, I really wanted it.
In case you don't use mine in the edit, yeah? Well, can I just say stop right now?
Yeah.
I love that one if they use this.
Who's your friend? Big Ears?
So what happened, James?
I wanted the Spice Girls album, Spice. And so did my sister. We've both been pestering our parents a lot for the album. My father decided he had to tell us before Christmas who was going to get the album or not, because he didn't want an upset on Christmas Day. And so he waited until we were in a safe space, was the local swimming pool. We'd all gone for a family swim.
Yeah.
And
a lovely Christmassy thing to do. A lot of people do a lot of swimming in the run-up to Christmas.
Yes. Because it was in honour of the 7 swans of swimming.
Yeah.
That's why we did it. we were swimming, and then my dad called a family meeting.
Shallow end?
Shallow end, yes. Oh, you're not treading water during a family meeting. He said, right, it's a week until Christmas, and I'm just going to let you know that Ruth is getting the Spice Girls album.
Ridiculous.
Well, where were you then? Because at the time, I looked like I overreacted.
Well, take us through this reaction. Paint a picture of how a young James reacted.
It was like a storm came over me. I was very angry. And then I turned and I walked to the other end of the shallow end. I did a width.
Yeah.
I would have stormed away, but it's very hard. Yeah. Wade through the water. You have to say every now and again, I'm really cross. Went to the other end, and I turned round so they could see my face, and I just sat down slowly. And I was under the water. I went, well, I was thinking this. I guess I'll either stay here until one of two things happens. Either I get the Spice Girls' debut album, Spice, or I'm gonna die.
Which happened?
Well, what happened was, I came back up again, and I saw that not only were they not... They were just carried on swimming. They got always under the water now, and my dad quickly went, problem solved, and they carried on swimming.
What are you thinking, Noddy?
I just don't think his dad would do that. I think he'd buy 2 albums.
Oh, I'm unaware that you knew my father, Noddy.
What do you think about the 2 albums buying issue?
Well, like, as a parent, I just would have thought that just quietly, like, going off to HMV to buy an album is easier than taking the whole family for a group swim.
So what are you going to say, David? What's it going to be?
I think it's fun.
I'll say lie.
You think that you both think it's a lie? I'm going to say lie.
OK.
Yeah.
James, were you telling us the truth, or was it a lie?
I was telling the truth.
Yes, it's true. James did try to drown himself in protest over his Christmas present.
I once spent the night in a bush in Basingstoke.
David's team.
Right.
That's a true.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Why were you spending the night in a bush in Basingstoke?
I missed my train.
Where do you live?
Well, at the time, I lived in Kettering in Northamptonshire,
Right.
Rose of the Shires.
Why didn't you go to a luxury hotel?
Well, David, at the time, I had no money in my wallet at all, and my phone was dead. I had no way of contacting anyone.
That certainly adds up.
Why a bush? Why not a bench or, like, somewhere warmer than a bush?
Well,
Is a bench warmer than a bush?
I would say a bush is warmer than a bench.
is definitely colder than a bush. It's more exposed.
there's an old saying, you're warmer in a bush than on a bench.
So where was the bush? Paint the picture of the local
It was right
area.
in front of the train station. And there was like a little, like, pick-up point for taxis and stuff. And then it went down a little bit to the road. And then right in front of the road, just a load of bushes.
So you didn't look for a long time for a particularly comfy spot?
I'll level with you, David. The amount of time it took me to decide to sleep in the bush was embarrassingly short.
Right. Was it? Now, that does surprise me. It was a quick decision. You've missed your train, and you go, right, that's it. And you immediately, like, 14 seconds later, you're snoring.
Well, I actually didn't get to sleep. It was scary. I was freezing, actually. Even though the bush... It was a nice, roomy bush.
Can you remember the shape of the leaves?
It was like small little Basingstoke leaves.
Individual leaves?
Yeah.
Variegated?
OK. You had to explain what that word means.
It means there's a sort of white bit on the outside, I think.
I wasn't paying attention to the leaves. I had bigger problems at the time. I wasn't sitting in the bush going, one day, I may have to justify this entire experience on what I like. I better memorise the leaves and whether they're gentrified or whatever you said.
So, James, you've settled down in the bush and you're lying there, but it's cold.
Oh, I'm sitting there.
Sitting in the bush?
Sitting there, cross-legged and cold. I had a T-shirt on.
How are you going to go to sleep sitting?
I was scared.
What were you scared of?
It was Friday night in Basingstoke. There were hoodlums around.
And all you had on was a T-shirt?
And jeans.
And jeans, of course.
Yes.
I still feel like the bench is warmer.
So, did anybody hear you in the bush and come and
At
investigate?
one point they did. At one point some hoodlums stopped outside the bush. They said, you know what we haven't done in a while? We haven't beaten someone up in a while. That's how they speak, David. Bullies speak like that to each other. And I was in the bush, and at the time I was wearing a red dress.
What did you say? What?
I was wearing a dress by now.
Why? You said you're in a T-shirt.
Originally I was in a T-shirt, and then I had to put a dress on.
Why did you put a dress on?
It was cold.
Where did you get a dress from?
I had it in a bag.
Why?
I was making a short film, and I had to buy the wardrobe for the cast.
You're in the bush. The hoodlums had moved on. They didn't beat you up.
I tricked them. I put the bag over my head.
You seriously put the bag over your head?
Yeah, put yourself in my shoes. They're saying they want to beat someone up. If they look down and see me wearing a dress, it'll be like Christmas. So I put the bag over my head, and now if they look down, they'll think someone's left a bag and a dismembered body in a bush.
People at home, don't put bags on your heads.
No. Let's go back to the temperature of this bush now. You said you went into the dress for warmth, but surely the jeans and the T-shirt were warmer than a dress. There's a lot of ventilation.
I think he said he put the dress on
I don't think
over.
he took the jeans
Yeah.
and the T-shirt.
Oh, it was double.
Yeah, no, but he didn't slip out of the jeans and the T-shirt, fold them up nicely at the side, and then get the dress and put it on and go, oh, I look wonderful. He wasn't doing that.
Oh, right.
By the end of the night, he's wearing the jeans, the T-shirt, the dress, and the bag.
May I just say, it's lucky this didn't happen to Melvin, because if so, he'd have been on a bench wearing a dress and nothing else.
Let's go for a guess. Is he telling the truth? Melvin, what do you think?
I think, looking at James, I can believe that he could put on a dress with a bag over his jeans and T-shirt, but a man that picks a bush over a bench, I can't trust. So on that basis, it's a lie.
Oh.
Faye.
I've got to absolutely say it's true. I'm believing every element, really.
I'm going to go true.
True. Yeah. You're saying true. Right. James, was it true or was it a lie?
It's true.
Yes, it's true. James did once spend the night in a bush in Basingstoke.